Hi everyone, this is Lauren Braille and this is my action research presentation. I am in the Assessment, Curriculum, and Teaching with STEM Endorsement program. I am a second grade teacher in the Ephrata Area School District. The purpose of my action research, I was hoping to learn if goal setting makes a positive impact on student fact fluency. I have noticed my students typically hit a point of plateau with their fact fluency at this point in the year. I was hoping having my students engaging with goal setting will assist them with this plateau they typically experience. Research that I have done on the area of goal setting and fact fluency has shown that goal setting can be beneficial to student achievement. The research question I used for my project was, how does goal setting impact second grade students' fact fluency? Some background and some research that I found was the Hahn and Tollefson study, which examined whether elementary age students were capable of setting realistic and achievable goals, as well as looking at the optimal time for goal setting strategy instruction. The results of the study did show that a majority of students that participated were indeed capable of setting realistic, achievable goals. I decided to include this study in my action research because of the fact that I had a worry, and I know some other teachers sometimes have worries if elementary students are able and ready and if it's developmentally appropriate for these age students to set goals for themselves to see if it's a realistic and achievable goal. So I thought this study was important to include in my action research because it took a look at that, and the study did show that a majority of the students that participated were able to set realistic and achievable goals. The next study, Smithson 2012, conducted an action research project on the effect of goal setting on the academic achievement of third grade students. This study showed that the use of goal-setting strategies can be an aid to student performance on assessments. I chose to include this in my action research project because of this action research project showing an effect of goal setting on academic achievement, and this is what I was hoping to look at in my action research project. And this study did show that the goal setting strategies were an aid to student performance, and the student performance increased on these assessments with the use of goal setting. My next study that I chose was to examine the impact of goal setting on academic growth. Martin et al. Performed a study that demonstrated goal setting has a significant impact on achievement. This study was important to include as well because of the impact that goal setting had on achievement. Sides and Cuevas 2020 examined the effects of goal setting on motivation, self-efficacy, and math achievement on elementary students. The results showed no noticeable effect of goal setting on motivation and self-efficacy. However, the results did show a significant difference for fact fluency and goal setting. I thought this was important to include because it showed that difference for fact fluency and goal setting. Even though the study looked at self-efficacy, motivation, and achievement, the goal setting didn't seem to impact motivation and self-efficacy. However, it did impact fact fluency and goal setting. The last study I included here was the Gross et al. Study, which examined the effect of goal setting on an explicit timing intervention. Results indicated that when students participated in goal setting, there were significant improvements upon their addition fact fluency. I chose to include this study because of the effect that goal setting had on addition fact fluency, which is what I was looking at in my action research project, and because of the explicit timing intervention that was used. The Reflex app that I used in my action research project focused a lot on timing and of fact fluency, so I thought that this was important to include in my action research. the design of my action research project, I chose to use Reflex, and each student's fact fluency scores were recorded within Reflex when they practiced each day and were then accessed and analyzed through the teacher dashboard to gain insight into their fluency progression. I also used Greenlight trackers with my students and myself to observe progress towards their set goal. Students also use these trackers to set their goals at the start of each week. At the beginning of each week, students set a new goal for how many days they would like to earn their green light for the week. At the end of the week, students checked to see if they met their goal for the week. I checked in with all students to see if they achieved their goal or not. If students did not meet their goal, I asked them why they think they did not meet their goal and what they think they could have done in order to meet their goal. I collected and analyzed quantitative data on student fact fluency through the Reflex app. The findings of my action research project was that I found that goal setting positively impacted student math fact fluency. I included two graphs from my action research paper here. The first one is the group fluency timeline, which was actually from the beginning of the year all the way until the end of my action research project. And you can see that this graph does steadily go up. In the past, I had noticed the graph start to go up and then kind of plateau, which is why I wanted to do this action research project. And looking at this timeline shows that goal setting did have that positive impact on student fact fluency. The next one I have over here, this pie chart here, shows, this is actually taken right from Reflex. This shows the class average fluency in addition and subtraction before starting my action research project, where you can see that about half of my students were in that 0 to 49% fluent range, to the end of my action research project, where that went from half of my students being in that red zone to about a quarter of my students being in that red zone, which definitely showed me that students had increased in their fact fluency. Something I do mention in my action research project, a worry of mine, is that students they definitely were increasing. I can see that from my results, but a worry that I have is that students necessarily, it wasn't the goal setting that impacted this. It could have just been that students have been practicing and they've been getting better with their facts. So that's something that I do mention in my action research paper. The conclusion of my project: throughout this project, I learned that goal setting does positively impact my students' fact fluency. Again, I did mention on the last slide and in my paper that I worry that it wasn't the goal setting that I was tracking, it was the just students getting better with their fact fluency. So that's something that I do want to continue to examine in my classroom. This impacted my role as a teacher because I can use this knowledge to add goal setting into my students' day more, because I have noticed that positive impact on my students. And this project can inform my school because my district has been working towards creating a life-ready graduate, which is the profile of what we want our students to look like once they graduate. Goal setting goes along with a life-ready graduate and helps to prepare students for life where they will need to operate independently. As the district shifts its dynamic from focusing on testing to focusing on the whole child, there may appear to be some to be less focused on achievement, which is where goal setting can step in to best fulfill its role. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to looking at everyone else's videos and their results of their action research projects.